Here yet. Welcome to Overwatch Oasis. This is Tier 2 Pre-Playoff Evaluation. So today you have Jibba and Sebi. What we are going to do when we at least get one person in stream is sort of start talking about all of the Tier 2 teams. Kind of just sum up their playoff or their runs all season, the things that they did. We are gonna try and break down players as best as we can, but obviously some people might get a tad overlooked, especially the new pickups. We did invite tier 2 captains to come and join in on this when we talk about their individual teams if they want to give some input or anything like that. I don't know if the link went live. Sometimes,
Um,
sometimes it takes a minute, but it
if not,
doesn't.
we can definitely post this link.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it did. In case you want to get that posted up for us.
If not, we can definitely.
Then once you have that posted, we can get
Me, I'm doing all the hard work.
get moving. Yeah, clearly. Isn't that your job?
What do I look like, an architect?
Something like that. Let me know when you get that up. And I would just tag at here or everyone. I would tag at everyone if you want. Tier 3 might want to come in. I know we do have some new teams potentially coming in for next season, so maybe they kind of want to come get a look see at the competition. But on another note, how is everybody today? Hopefully good. Wegsy, we're gonna sum up tier 2 and kind of everybody's seasons for them for all of the tier 2 teams. If you're home, you're welcome to come in. Taters is actually going to be the first team that we do talk about. Unfortunately, they were not able to make playoffs this season, but we are still going to highlight the really good job that they did fighting all season long.
I think I posted up the link, but I can't find the channel. There it
Don't you
is.
laugh, Wegsy.
Weird, I can't
We
post
played
at
like
here.
Garbo all season. I wouldn't say that. I would say you guys were all individually skilled players, and it was just a matter of maybe coming together, which didn't 100% happen. But you should just tag tier 2 again. They're gonna,
Yes,
they're gonna,
sir.
they're gonna, you're gonna get incoming about notifications very shortly.
I mean, this stream is so important that they have to watch it.
Everybody must come.
Yeah,
So
speaking
now how
about
many times did
Tate
that?
Boss, actually, on paper, they really had a really good roster, in my opinion. I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like they just didn't sync very well compared to the rest of the teams that started working like clockwork throughout the season, or definitely after the first few weeks in.
Yeah. And like Boise, even though saying, 4-0, I don't think getting 4-0 is a reflection of how teams play because games tend to be close. So records don't always show like the talent and the skill that players and teams have. Like we're saying, sometimes it's just a matter of you have to find the cogs that kind of fit into place. And I do think Taters had again really skilled players, but it just was a matter of coming together.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't say that they were outclassed in any way in Tier 2. I think if they do come into the next season as Data Bots and maybe pick or drop a certain person or two, they will definitely thrive,
Mm-hmm.
even more so.
But let's start with Wegsy while we have him here. Um, Wegsy was honestly, I think, a really good player. From what I know of Wegsy, he's a very flexible person. I know we saw him on tanking a bit this season and on heals, especially his one of his last games. I think it was, I can't recall, I think it was against Eclipsed. We saw Wegsy almost make a full rotation through every single healer, which shows the depth of what he can do. The only healer I did not see him play on was Zen. Wegsy, you almost had that. You should have just played Zen at one point, and then you would have just rounded all the bases there on that one. But the knowledge to be able to play so many of the different characters, especially when they aren't necessarily always meta, against these double shields, Ana can be devastating if your team pushes in, but it's really hard to hit those nades. And it's really hard to heal your teams through a double shield as an Ana, but we did see Wegsy kind of able to play Ana and do some work there against Eclipsed. Just a matter of, like I said, Ana doesn't always get the most function out of everything, but when he played that Brig, it was pretty dirty for me, and I love my Brigs, obviously.
I think Wegsy is suited to a more aggressive playstyle, and you can see that from his tanking as well. He's like, I love when Wegsy's Arias because of the aggression, and his game sense is there as well, which I think partners really well with Jag, who was for the most part their main tank for Tater Bots this season. Though I don't feel like I saw Wegsy Jag together too much on tank. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't think we did. I know we saw a lot of, I want to say, Jag. We saw some Jag in Korean at some points. We saw Jag with Coco at different points. Um, I know there was somebody else, and I can't think of who it is off the top of my head.
Maybe Rigor Mortis?
I think
Was
so,
he in Tater
yes.
Bots?
No, I think he's Tater Potts. Like, see, this is why you should be here to help us out.
He did, and we popped when we duoed. Well, maybe that might have been the secret recipe there, Jag, because I like the way you play Reinhardt. I like the way Wegsy plays his Zarya.
Yeah.
And you two together work really well as a broad comp.
Yeah. You guys can aggressively make a lot of space, just kind of ping ponging with each other on who steps forward, who steps back, especially when the health is starting to get a little bit low, which really can enable DPS players. Because when their tanks are making space, the DPS have that opportunity to take a little bit of time to try and get their shots. They're not quite so rushed. Like, I know we did see Polish play some DPS this season, along with Korean played a little bit DPS. I know Coco early in the season played some DPS
Yeah,
before he became
unfortunately,
tier 2
Coco went
ineligible.
ineligible, which is a big sucker punch, I guess. A bit of a slap to the face, because definitely one of the best Junkrats I've seen. Definitely the type of Junkrat to kamikaze in your backline is then get like a 4 or 5k with his tire. And I know there's a lot of teams in tier 2 that probably can't handle that. Us, the Pagas being one of them.
I know they did have some end of the season pickups in Dabarella and VCAT, who unfortunately didn't really get to shine as much as we would like to have seen them shine. We've seen them play in Tier 1, Dabarella being an amazing tank. A lot of the taters know that she's also an incredible Torb. Torb, something that she wouldn't have been able to play on this team, but she was picked up, I think, as a healer for the team. Along with VCAT, who we've seen can also cycle through a lot of the different characters, but especially really well known for his Lucio play.
Yeah, the extra game sense is definitely something that Tater Bots would need to sort of thrive. And again, like I was saying, if they come into this next season with those kinds of players, then they're definitely going to do a good job.
Especially too if they do keep Maka and McBrantis. I think we saw them duoing together quite a bit on heals. I know McBrantis, mostly what we saw was a lot of Mercy Moira play, who is very. Both of those characters are really important. The Mercy damage boost can make a big difference, especially for your DPS characters, and the Moira really just does a great job of keeping your characters up, your tanks and everybody up.
Who else do we have here then? We also have Polish, right? I think I've known him more so as a flex for Taters, right? I don't think I've not seen him not play.
I think he played every role this season.
Yeah, he's from what I know, his DPS is definitely scary, but I have seen him tank and support, which are also equally incredibly good. I feel like he's one of the players that can definitely enable his team. His hit scan especially is kind of scary. If he paired his DPS with like say Jag and Wegsy, the aggression and the picks that you would get would really take them far.
And then Maka, I remember a lot as specifically, I want to say a Mercy. I think they played a little bit of Baptiste too, but I remember them as a Mercy. They were pretty hard to track down. They got off some really good reses. Not ever anything too. My stream cut out, so I'll have to come back and watch it to hear the full review. Yeah, please do, Wigsy. But Maka, I remember just never really going for too many risky reses, which is a good sign, like a sign of a really good Mercy, because it's so hard to not put yourself sometimes in a bad position to get up a key player. Like if a tank has gone down or a DPS that's doing a lot of work has gone down, you really want to get that res off. And sometimes you get caught out. Like more than often, you get caught out. But I think Maka had really good game sense normally to not put themselves in the bad position. Maka best bot.
So is there anyone else we missed there from Taters?
We have not talked about Rage Quit yet in Bullet Dodgers.
Okay, so Bullet Dodgers, definitely an interesting one. There was certain aspects of him that I didn't really see too often, but then other aspects where I saw him just absolutely pop off and win team fights on his own here. I feel like if he just brushed up a little bit more on his DPS, he could definitely become an even bigger threat playing in Tier 2. From what I remember, I think he plays Reaper, Junk, maybe a few of the hit scan. I can't remember off the top of my head, but definitely a scary guy if you give him too much space.
And from Rage Quit, I know Rage Quit was Blood doesn't don't come in here and be toxic blood. Bullet Best May Reaper. I love the banter going on in chat. Rage, I remember as an off tank. Jag, correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say you paired with Rage a little bit. Did the stream just start? Yes, we did just start. We're just talking about Taters right now. And then we're going to give a little quick shout out to basically Throwing, who was a team in the league. And then we're going to get into the teams that are in playoffs here. So.
Yes, sir.
Rage, though, I remember as an off tank. I think their name in the league is McDonald's. Yeah.
No, I think it's
No.
OMG.
Is it OMG? I don't know. I'm always so confused with like the difference between the Discord tags and the names. But overall, I think for Taters, I think like we said in the beginning, they have a lot of individual skill, and that's a good thing to have. But we saw early on in the league something that happened was you can't just fully depend on individual skill. You have to have some synergy in order to really make it through and make it far. And the teams that worked on that synergy and kind of picked it up, did a good job. And if Taters can sort of just use the off season to hone that in and then come back next season, I think they'd be really strong contenders because we've seen a lot from their org before.
Definitely. They've definitely got individual talent. All they need to do is sort of brush up a little bit more with their teamwork. Sometimes when we're watching their games back, it feels like they're completely out of sync. And other times it feels like they're really working together, but that might just be individual skins sort of honing in. So if they can just sort of work on the synergy, play a couple of scrims, keep playing with each other every day, every other day, they're definitely going to be quite an interesting team to watch, especially for next season.
Yeah. So, from there, I do want to give just a small shout out to Basically Throwing. We unfortunately don't have one of their rosters to kind of reference back to. I know offhand some of the players. Toaster was there, Lady of Siren was there, Toku was there, Bubs was an incredible DPS. I think got almost like 4 or 5 MVPs in a row. We had Clan Tag. That's what I remember off the top of my head. And I know I'm missing some people. We could actually probably reference previous MVPs for them just to kind of give a little talk about them. They were an incredibly strong team in the beginning and unfortunately had to fold for the season. But before they did, I think they were in second, I want to say. Second or third.
Yeah, they were definitely up there. They won quite a number of their games and definitely gave it to the stronger teams and the lower teams, making them to be a force to be reckoned with. Like
I
you
a
were
hundred.
saying, like
They dominated
DPS.
us. Elite Arrow, a Rapid Duck. Oh, both really, really good healers for the two of them. Get to the Twinkie was a bit of a later pickup. Who played support for I think a match or two, and then was able to switch over to tank when they became tank eligible.
Yeah, so their DPS and tank lineup were definitely scary. Like you were saying, Bub was quite a scary Ash slash May. I think
Mm-hmm.
she played Tracer as well sometimes. And she was getting bobs like crazy quick. Her dynamites were insane, and like she was constantly just dinking heads every team fight. And then partnering that up with Clan Tag as well, who I think was a little bit more flexible, but was maybe had a little bit of a high game sense. They just paired really well with each other, and they were getting ults crazy fast in team fights.
But yeah, unfortunate that they did have to end up folding for the season. Hopefully, we do see a couple of their members return next season, get picked up by teams, and/or potentially on their own teams. We will kind of see how that rolls around. Um, but just an overall really good job to them. I remember playing against them personally, and I think they absolutely dominated us. We did not take one map off of them. We got lucky to draw a map with them. So,
If they come back, they're definitely going to be able to hold their second spot, if not get first.
and now we can sort of get into the teams that we still have remaining in playoffs. So, just to give a quick rundown of the standings and how we're looking going into them. For standings, the way that the season ended was Papegas were in first with NA Alt Management in second, Rogue Knights third, Pizza Planet Deep Dish in fourth, Eclipsed Academy fifth, Duck Duck Goats in sixth, Valkyries in seventh, and Beast Edition were in eighth. So, what team do you want to start with here?
Let's have a look.
The
Give me
the
one.
matchups for first round of playoffs are Pizza Planet versus Duck Duck Goats, which will be happening tonight in a short few hours. Will likely be on this account, so going to be a spicy game. Everybody should tune into it. Their first map has been given to them. We'll sort of leave that as a surprise for all of stream to see what it is because it was randomly chosen. We do have NA Alt Management versus Valkyries will be tomorrow night. Rogue Knights versus Eclipse Academy was supposed to be tonight, but due to the storm that's incoming, they did reschedule to Saturday. And then Papegas versus Beast Edition is yet to be scheduled. So we'll kind of talk about one team, then we'll talk about the other team they're facing, and then kind of talk about their matchups a little bit.
Okay, so let's talk about the two teams that are going to play tonight then,
So
which will be Pizza
Pizza
Planet
Planet
and
and Duck Duck Goats.
who do you want to start with?
Let's go with I guess the standings order, and we can start with Pizza Planet here. But we're not talking about Psycho Mantis because let's be honest, that guy awful. What is there to say about him? I'm kidding, Psycho.
Pizza Planet as a whole, a really interesting team. They were able to not beat both first and second place seeds, which were Papegas and Rogue Knights.
Mm-hmm.
Though it was close, they still were able to beat both teams 3-2, but have lost to lower teams as well. So I would say a little bit of inconsistency, but every time I play Pizza Planet, it's definitely a tough match, and you can't not take them seriously.
The funny thing about Pizza Planet is sometimes they seem to start a little bit slow, or they try these sort of funky, weird strats that either completely work out and they kind of just roll point a little bit, or they get hard held. And I've seen previously, which maybe it's something they fix, them stick on those strats for a little bit too long. I mean, once a sim strat's not really working, it's kind of time to get off of that sim strat. But Pizza Planet definitely does a really good job of kind of making these things work. And a lot of their players, even though they have their main individual roles, are very flexible and able to play a lot of, other roles. We've seen Psycho can tank, he can DPS. We've seen I want to say Jean's Booty last week was tanking, but is somebody I know more for DPS. I know that Ragnarok Alex previously is somebody that can heal and can DPS, so they definitely have a lot of depth to their lineup.
Yeah, they've got some interesting strategies going on, but again, if these strategies don't work for them, they can always just bank on running a normal comp
Yeah.
because of all the flexibility within their team. Cough, cough, Bastion Sim.
The most one of the most toxic lineups that you can run. But talking about Psycho Mantis, he is definitely well known throughout the league as a Roadhog. Obviously, I'm not going to say a one trick because we do know Psycho can play other things. I've seen him play almost every tank except for maybe Diva. I want to say,
Yeah, I do want to say his ball also shines as well.
yeah.
Definitely an annoying hero for him to pick. Either his ball or his Roadhog are incredibly annoying, especially on Ilios.
Yeah, Ilios,
So,
any Ilios, Nepal, Lijiang, any map that sort of allows for any sort of boops and or kind of cross map hooks into the depths of the map, basically. What I would say about Psycho is I've seen his main tank and it's definitely not bad, but I think his off tank is much more complementary to his playstyle. He's I think it's definitely more complementary to his playstyle personally, and it allows him to kind of just position himself to get big plays for his team, basically.
I think he definitely shines as someone who makes disruptive plays to the enemy team, and we can see that with his ball and hog.
And I think that's well complemented sometimes by Ragnarok Alex, who a lot of us know plays a ton of Moira. I think Alex knows how to play Moira's kit to a really well extent to the point where he knows when he can get away with being aggressive and pushing and inputting a little bit of DPS as you need to do as Moira in order to regain, your heals. But he also knows how to use his cooldowns to heal, to help his team get out of situations, to use those heal orbs versus a damage orb. Especially if he's on, like we saw, I can't entirely remember what game it was, but I know very specifically on Nepal, on Sanctum, Psycho Mantis was caught out on the far side and the team was rushing him, and Alex went in and saved him while the rest of his team stayed on point. So the team was able to kind of input some damage across the map to them while Alex was able to help Psycho get out. So I think he does a really good job of balancing a lot of things as a Moira.
Yeah, definitely. You gotta be careful. If you're low, he will pretty much suck you until you're dead. So that's
Yeah.
one. That's a healer you have to watch out for. You have to watch out for like a ball that might just run around and just run you flat. You've also got the Bastion Sim. The Bastion might just teleport into your backlines and kill your entire team, as we've seen Muffin Pirate do.
And then those two can be super complemented, like their play style. Especially, I think if Super Ninja and Len are in. Super Ninja, we obviously know is an incredible Pharah. We've seen that play so many times. Can also play Reaper. Can play a variety of characters. And Len is a really amazing Mercy, in my opinion. They're able to kind of dash around the map, keep everybody topped up, and they're hard to track to take down. I've seen Len get really incredible and risky reses off, but I think that's because Pizza Planet plays so disruptively.
Yeah, I think Len's not really been in a bad position that I've ever seen. And so they've been able to pull off these incredible reses like out of nowhere. It feels like, and they're pretty hard to kill. If you don't kill Len, then it's pretty much a second chance for Pizza Planet as they're going to get this, incredible res off.
And I think the way that they play like that really allows for Ranch to kind of um, get by a little bit sneakily as a main tank, in my opinion. Ranch will be on point, capping point, and solidly holding point, while contesting anybody trying to come in by themselves, while the rest of the team is kind of around doing the work. And I don't think they normally have to super worry because that's when kind of Muffin Pirate is backing them up, or Shinigami is backing them up a little bit there on point. I want to say
And
this.
you were likely talking about Super Ninja. Not only is
Hmm.
his Pharaoh insane, he's also really good at hit scan. He's definitely one to watch out for as he can flex around on DPS, and we have seen him on tank as well. Actually,
Hmm. Yeah,
I can't remember who. I think he plays off tank.
I don't know how far he made it in the Widow tourney, but I know he did participate and he got, I want to say, fairly decent into it. Um, some of their other people are a little newer pickups. I know Strawberry Way and Neo are both new pickups. Strawberry is a support for them. I don't know if we have 100% seen them play yet. I could be mistaken. But I know Neo, we do have experience because Neo was previously on Beast Edition. So Neo is a very good Doomfist. Um, Really in your backlines, disrupting your supports and your healers and making it very hard for them to push forward with the rest of their team.
Yeah, you almost feel like the second he goes into your backline, you wanna take him out, but he'll have another cooldown to get himself out. So it's a bit like he feels almost unkillable at points.
Um, I know Jean's Booty too, somebody else that is on their roster, has was a slightly new pickup. I'm not sure how often ago. I think it was more midway through season, but we've seen them on off tank as a Zarya and on DPS. So again, just kind of speaking to the depth that Pizza Planet has. I don't think they ever necessarily need to worry too much about having, some teams have to worry about, like, oh, we don't have our main tank, we don't have our DPS player, so we have to put somebody on DPS. They're kind of just able to do that pretty seamlessly to
Yeah,
move people around.
I agree with you. I would definitely love to see more of Gene's Booty in the playoffs and hopefully see them shine.
And then
But again, all of Pizza Planet feel like they can just sort of pop off at points.
yeah,
You gotta be careful of each player.
Chrono and Boss, I feel like we haven't seen, unfortunately, as much of the rest of the team as we have. I know Chrono we have, and I've seen them on, I want to say Mercy and Baptiste. I could be wrong here. Psycho, if you were here, then correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if Psycho is even here, but
Muffins in the chat.
or Muffin, yeah, Muffin, you could correct me.
Gene will be there in the game, so you'll see her in tonight's game. Okay, definitely be a fun one.
No, there's going to be no face cams. But yeah, no, we're definitely looking forward to watching Pizza Planet play tonight. So that will be, it's going to be an incredible game between the two of them. Which then brings us to Duck Duck Goats.
Definitely seem to have picked up the pace since the start of the season. We know that firsthand from just the amount of scrims that we played against them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they've got quite a scary DPS lineup.
I mean, I think they have quite a scary kind of everything line up there. They're one of those teams, like when we were talking about Tater, kind of had some, individual we demand Kim, no Chicky, had a lot of individual talent and skilled players, but needed to sort of fix the synergy that was going on, and that is something that Katie really pulled together for the team, and they are, I've been saying it since the beginning of the season. They were never a team that you necessarily wanted to sleep on, and they have since been proving that.
Yeah, with their sort of rearrangement of their roster, they've definitely sort of fine-tuned it, and it feels like they are going to be a force to reckon with, especially in this playoff game tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if Pizza Planet have a really difficult time here, just because of the
I
depth of their roster.
I could definitely see the game tonight going, honestly, 3-2 either way.
It's an interesting take. I feel like I feel like both teams are kind of slow at the start of any sort of league game that they play, and they sort of pick it up towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
But if one team beats the other team in the first map or two, I think the momentum is going to sort of shift their way. So I feel like it'll be 3-1 in either favor.
But we've seen Pizza Planet knows how to shift with momentum. So I think it can be incredible, but just like, Pizza Planet can shift with momentum, I think so can Duck Duck Goats. They never really give up. They don't back down from fights. They kind of just it seems like they just take whatever happened in the map before, evaluate it real quick, and just figure out how to fix it right away. Um, and honestly, I feel like a good like help to that is probably the support line that they have from and I know three of the supports fairly well, and from what I understand, they can be vocal supports, so they'll tell their team what's kind of missing here. And a lot of them are fairly flexible. I know we know Dr. Grill from tier two and tier three. Tier three more so on the DPS, so it's really nice to be able to see Grill is shining as a support in tier two now. And Grill was, I want to say, also an Ash May DPS. So seeing the kind of accuracy on Ash, sort of, and the game sense of being aware of surroundings and everything, translate into the support role. I think it's very helpful to the team.
Yeah, I think the flexibility that she has as well pairs really well with the other healers on Duck Duck Goats. I think who have they got? KEB, and I am awful with remembering healers.
They have KDB, they have Mystic Angel from our league, and they have Dr. Grill and Pop Tart.
Yeah, so between all four of them, they can play a variety of healers. I know Mystic Angel is quite good with the Mercy, I want to say. She does get some really good reses off. KEB alongside that as well plays a really good Moira and Mercy.
And Pop Tart just got MVP last week, so obviously
Pop
is
Tart
showing
definitely
some
popping off.
incredible talent here. I want to say I think Mystic Angel and Pop Tart both played Lucio. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Grill on Ana is, yeah, I agree. Grill on Ana is for sure.
Yeah, she's got the aim, obviously from playing DPS in tier 3, so I wouldn't be surprised to see her on the Ana.
Which would then kind of bring us to, again, talking about these, the healers supporting everybody. For me, brings to the DPS lineup. I think their DPS lineup is absolutely stacked, personally. Fahador has not been around, I feel like, all season. I don't know if we have seen him in a game.
From what I remember, he
Hundo.
does play a pretty good Doomfist. Though I think he runs another league, right?
He
It
either
might just be
runs in other league or is on other teams. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I'm sure when he is there and he's able to be kind of worked into the lineups, a Doomfist can be very impactful. But between Overhaul, J Money, Honey Biscuits, and Daddy Need You, I think that lineup is just that's a hard one to kind of get by, in my opinion. Honey Biscuits known in tier three for the Ash play, but also I feel like we're going to keep saying this about all our Ash players, but also can play like an incredible May kind of thing. But I remember you duoed with Honey Biscuits in the Ash McCree tournament, correct?
Yep, and she absolutely carried me to where we got. And we dominated Hydra. If anyone remembers that, that was a good game.
It's always a good game when you can dominate Hydra. Chat would agree with that one. But then also, like, then you turn to Daddy Needs You, who is well known for Reaper, for Soldier, for Junkrat. A good Junkrat on any team is going to be impactful and
Yeah,
really just create a problem for you.
he's definitely scary because as soon as you hear that tire, you know it's going to be somewhere in the back line. And if you're not prepared, he is definitely going to get 3 or 4k with that tire.
And then Overhauled, ugh, who likes that guy? But no, Overhauled has been a really solid player for Duck Duck Oats all season long. Plays a variety of characters. Honey on Tank, though. We haven't gotten to see that much Honey on Tank. Overhauled, you know I love you.
Overhaul definitely. I feel like at the start of the season he was playing just a lot of sort of McCree Ash to begin with, but now it feels like he's added a little bit more flexibility to his DPS roster. I think I've seen him on the Pharah and the Torb, and he's not a bad player, especially
No.
since I played against him personally on
Overhauled's got
DPS.
he's got a lot of game sense and he's got really good comms, which I know can be sometimes a little bit harder when you're DPSing to kind of do because you're so intensely focused on, trying to find your counterpart, trying to help make some space. So when DPS players are kind of able to get those comms off, I think it's really important for the teams to be able to do a lot of work.
He pairs well with the supports as well because they can sort of just pocket him and he'll pop off if you give him just a little bit
Yeah.
of space.
And then I do feel all of them pair very well with J Money, who is just an obvious monster at DPS. And
Yeah,
I don't think we
especially
even
against
need to go into him. He's just, he's dominant as DPS and definitely somebody to kind of look out for.
just watch your flanks, is what I'm gonna say.
I mean, he's just, their whole team is everywhere at all times. So it's like, it's impossible to do anything. But,
J
um,
Money, he can make almost something out of nothing. It feels like he can be on the back foot and he'll still get like a crazy dynamite off with Ash and get Bob within half a team fight.
yeah, for me personally,
Insane.
he reminds me of what like Hydra does for our team, basically. For what Dre does for our team as Widow, you know, little situations like that. It's just they're very very impactful players. You might think that like the fight's lost, but it's just don't count it till it's out.
Exactly. You're definitely gonna have to spend quite a few resources to kill him, and even if you do manage to kill him, the rest of the ghosts will sort of capitalize on that and
Yeah,
take you out.
yeah, because that synergy that we were talking about that they've built, they really know how to work on that. Which then brings us to their tank line, which I think is probably where their biggest improvement due to their pickups has come into play. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. They had Demo and Hungo and Gara kind of from the beginning. We haven't seen a whole lot of Gara compared to some of like to Demo and to Hungo. I know Hungo is incredible. You know, really makes a lot of space and a lot of room. It's I can't remember in one of our recent scrims with them who exactly was who was necessarily on what, like who was a
I think
roadhog or who was.
Hungo was Sigma from what I last remember.
Okay,
Hungo, correct me if I'm wrong.
yeah, you're here, Hungo. Help us. Hungo Bambi is such a good combo. Yeah, Bambi really. Right now, nerdy, we are talking about Duck Duck Goats. Hungo plays off tank. Yeah, so so I would see Hungo, I think I want to say, as a Roadhog. And I personally hate Roadhogs, especially when I have to go against them on, like I said, those maps where you can really kind of hook somebody into some sort of position because if they play a flanking Roadhog, you have no idea where something's coming from until suddenly you're hooked from the side or behind, and you're just okay. See you later. Like there's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree with you. And
and
he can sort of go for these flanks and go for these risky plays because you know you'll have Bambi sort of saving the team, having
mhm.
the shield up, and Bambi can. It almost feels like there's a switch for Bambi. He either plays safe to keep the team alive and they get the picks, or he'll go crazy aggressive and get like a six-man shatter.
It's
There's no in between for this guy.
which makes it so hard to predict how do you go at Bambi and how do you play against him, because it's like he doesn't even necessarily wait for his team to play aggressive against you. He just, you know, he sees an opportunity and he goes for it, and then the team just goes with him. Like it's kind of incredible. Um, and I want to say Demo, we saw a lot of ball early in the season. Am I wrong on
Uh,
that?
I can't remember if I'm being honest with you. Guys, help us here.
Please stream, please.
I want to say I saw Demo on the Sigma as well, right?
I mean, you just said Bambi on Sigma, or you said Hungo on Sigma, and then you got told you were wrong.
Hey, Sigma is off tank, okay.
Hey. While we're waiting for chat to help us out a little bit on Demo here, I do want to talk about Hex Zorn, aka Zoms, because I'm never gonna call you Hex. I'm always gonna call you Zoms. Um, you're just bad, Zoms. Just so bad.
Demo
Demo
does
does
not
not
play
play
ball.
ball. God damn it, Katie.
How does that feel to be wrong? Huh?
Katie, you should have just backed me up.
Let's have a look here. So it seems Demo plays more Rhine, which is
Ryan.
interesting. So they have quite a few players that can play Rhine. I know Hex also plays a lot of Rhine. Um, as Katie was saying, Demo does as well, and Bambi. I feel like they all play different styles of Reinhardt though.
Yeah, I think, and that's like kind of a compliment and a good individuality about all of them, because even though one person goes in and you can say, oh, they're going to play Rhine, it's like oh, you don't know how they're going to play necessarily. You can't predict it. For real though, to talk kindly about Zoms here, playing against Zoms is always, from me, tough. I know how Zoms is, so I know, how his call outs and everything like that works. I think he's incredibly vocal, is able to really direct the team when they need to push in, push out of fights. It's easier to kind of talk about the people that we know, like personally, and have played with before. But overall for Duck Duck Goats, I really think that on paper it's an incredible team, but in games even more so than on paper, it's very impactful. They're a very impactful team.
Yeah, all they need to do is sort of just find that momentum, and things are going to start going their way.
Yeah. But like we said about Pizza Planet, they do really, really well with, battling back against momentum and creating their own and finding their own. So I do think tonight is going to be one of the closer of the four playoff games. And I think it's going to be one of the better of the playoff games potentially.
I honestly feel like the the team to win first map will take it. That's how I'm seeing it. What do you guys think? Need to make sure to breathe and not let ourselves get to ourselves. Yeah, that's one thing you need to be very careful of about Pizza Planet. Like Jibba was saying, like they will change the momentum around so quickly. It's kind of insane. So you definitely gotta watch out for that and not let it get to your heads.
Mm-hmm. Tell NAL to let me loose yo. Sky, no, Sky, you're a little too dangerous on DPS. So NAL's gonna keep you in that jail, my friend.
Dr. Ghost will take it because I'm working, so I can't throw. I was So I think that's all I have to say.
Okay. So
These two
then,
teams,
yeah, we can get moving on to the next couple teams then.
which will be
Tomorrow night will be NA Alt Management versus Valkyries.
okay. Another interesting game.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Who do you wanna start with?
Let's go with NA Alt first.
NA. Oh,
New,
so
new team to the league.
definitely showing their worth though, coming in second place at the end. Quite a scary team to be honest. I think every time we've played them, it's always been incredibly close.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got the roster to pop off as well, from their DPS to the tanks, and they've got some insane healers as well to sort of enable the rest of their team.
Yeah, some of their players we haven't seen quite as often. I know in the beginning of the season, which NAL loves talking about, they had Gator on the team as a main tank. Gator is unfortunately no longer with the league, so they did make an adjustment by losing one of their main tanks. They also had over something was a DPS for them, and then I think placed out of tier two. So whatever NALs are here, or to help me out with that one, please. Free Gator. Of course, we're in the free Gator country. Um, but looking at their roster, so somebody I can't really touch too much on because I haven't seen enough of them would be Kappa. I'm not sure if anybody wants to, and NAL wants to kind of give us a little information on that person while we go over some of the other members instead.
Yeah, they
Um,
look like a support player from what I see.
they lost Odornator, who played Sombra. Yes, that's who I recall, Odornator.
I think that was at the start of the season, right?
Yeah, I think they lost him, I think, 2 games in, something like that. Kappa is our Mercy BAP Zen player. Okay.
Okay, we'll definitely be keeping an eye out on this guy then.
That Kenny McCormick guy has been in so many games and has a 100% win rate. We got to talk about him.
The Chipser of Overwatch Oasis.
No, but the actual one of the actual captains of NA Out Management has done a really good job of kind of just keeping his team, close, making sure they work out any potential small issues because it doesn't seem like NA Out Management when they came into the league really had all that much to work on. Glad to see that Kenny did get himself into a T2 game, and I am glad he has his 100% win rate for his map. But definitely want to compliment him because it can be really hard to sort of captain a team and even when you're not playing because you might miss the comms and different things like that. But I think he's done a really good job with his team here, and especially with making pickups when it was necessary.
I agree with you. Yeah, I think Kenny's done an incredible job making sure that all of their players sort of synergize really well, and it just pays off. You can see the aggression work for them. You can see when they need to back up, and they just work incredibly well. And I'm not surprised that they got second place.
Yeah, no, not at all. They were always kind of pushing their way up through the ranks the entire time. I don't think they were ever really middle of the pack sort of kind of team. I think they were always more top tier in my opinion, especially because Mr. Link on their team, their Master Link, as we all on Stream Team like to sometimes mispronounce names here. But no, Link was in the game against us. I think pretty much almost shut us down on Hollywood, if I recall
Yeah, you
correctly.
got Mr. Link, who I can't remember what he plays now off the top of my head. All I know is he was scary.
He plays Ash. I wanted to say there was a Widow. I think as Junkrat or Reaper is what we were shut down as.
So what you're saying is he would pair really well with Sky Blue.
Who kind of doesn't miss as an Ash. Yeah, I can agree with that one.
I think we've seen
Um,
Sky on the like Genji as well, right? I think
yeah.
Sky's in chat. Sky, correct us if we're wrong.
But Sky, one of the newer pickups here for NA Alt, is really well pocketed and supported, especially by, Mooncat, who I know we've seen a lot on the Mercy specifically. And Moon does a really good job of dividing, again, dividing attention between the teams, which can be between all the teammates, which can be really hard to do, in my opinion, as a Mercy, because you can only do so much healing, especially since it's individual on one person, whereas a lot of the other, players are kind of AoE or can get off multiple heals on people. So the fact that Moon is able to play Mercy to such a high level, in my opinion, I think really shows their game sense on that character.
So Sky says he plays Widow, Ash, Kree, Genji, Tracer. I feel like
So,
Sky is one of those players a bit similar to J Money. If you give an inch, you'll take a mile.
mhm.
You can't give them any space, or they're just gonna pop off.
Just all those really annoying characters that are either in your backlines or shutting everything down when you're trying to push in, basically. Who would you want to talk about next?
We can move over to Legit's Hammer, who, from what I remember, plays a lot of Torb. I mean, from his name, you can sort of tell, right?
A little bit. I know we did run into him in a quick play the other day, and he did mention switching to a Torb to kind of deal with us there.
Oh no, I think it was OpenCom.
Open comm? Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, definitely a scary guy. His like wherever he places his turret, it's like you have to spend resources to get the turret, and then you've got nothing for the fight, and then NA will win almost.
Yeah.
That's how it feels.
And I think it's a thing I feel a lot of Torbs do is incorrectly use the Torb ult. They kind of just will hold down the ult and let it spray everywhere in like a circle kind of thing. And from what I remember about Legits, um, if this is the right scrim that I'm thinking of, I could be thinking of the wrong scrim. I think we just backed right into the Torb ult at one point, like when it was kind of in our spawn. I again could be thinking of the wrong one, but I think it's incredible when Nala, please back up, stop. when Torbs do know that like as long as you don't hold down the trigger, you still have that ult for a little bit of duration, so you can kind of spread it around. You can kind of pincer people and trap them with it. Um, but yeah, I think Legits is a really good DPS. And I think helps to back prophetic up a little bit when prophetic is pushing in on tank.
Yeah, it definitely helps. As I was saying earlier with the Torb turret, it just helps him build his ult so quickly. So he has Molten Core, it feels like almost at the end of every fight. And it works really well with Prophetic as well, because I've seen Prophetic get his ult way quicker than like almost any other Orisa in the league right now. So he pairs really well with Prof, I think. Prof does a good job just doing something, right? And getting his ult, getting the bongos out.
I mean, to not be dying when there's usually normally a lot of pressure incoming on your shield as an Orisa, and to still be getting off enough damage to get that ult very quickly, and then to intelligently place that bongo so that the rest of your team can kind of capitalize on it and get their own ults back. I think the two of them sort of ping pong really well together in that sort of regard.
I agree with you. Who else plays tank or NA?
Reindeer plays tank.
Reindeer. What have I seen him on? I think I've seen him on Sigma and the Rhine, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Reindeer's in chat.
Reindeer's in chat. I know we have seen Reindeer on the Sigma. And unless this is going to be, again, one of those situations where I am wrong, I'm pretty sure that you have been rocked out of a Sigma ult by him.
Oh no. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, something that happens pretty often, basically. I want to say, though, I think Gyro also plays tank for them. What I recall of Gyro, I think, is more Ryan Zarya. I could be super wrong here,
Zarya
though.
would be an interesting one. I don't think I've ever seen NA play a lot of Zarya. I mean, fair play to them, it's not really meta, but I can't really recall a map where I've seen a Zarya.
I mean, you always have to play metas. You know, those are the most important things to play.
Reindeer, Insane Diva.
Diva.
Interesting.
Gyro is the Sigma. Okay, that's who I'm thinking of then. That's who's rocked you out of the ult.
I don't know what you're talking about. But one thing I will say is their synergy between the tanks are incredible. Like, Prophetic's pull works really well with the rest of the team, and
Mm-hmm.
it seems like the other tanks capitalize on it. Whether it's Orisa Rhine or Orisa Sigma, you're definitely going to see a Fire Strike or a Rock coming at your face after you've been pulled, and that's consistent.
The one other person on your guys' team I don't know much about is Electric TTV. I not. It looks like they might be a support player, or not a support. Maybe a tank player for you guys, but I'm not entirely sure. I do want to talk about Buttweiser though. I do remember them on support. I think one of the games that we casted, we gave them MVP for Baptiste specifically. I just remember an incredible Baptiste on their team, like literally saving the team from so many ults by using their immort field properly, but also properly placing those matrices down to heal and attack through so that the rest of NA ult management could push aggressively and could get like very quick picks to prevent a team's push basically.
Yeah, he was doing a really good job with healing the team and not overusing the lamp,
Mm-hmm.
which allowed him to save his team over and over again with like these massive ults that came from the enemy teams.
And then I
So
do remember also just really incredible placement, because I know as a Baptiste sometimes it can be hard to decide, do you want to take high ground, do you want to take low ground, especially if there's really good snipers on the other team. It can put you in a sort of bad position if you're not with the team. So I think Buttweiser just does have really good game sense in regards to his placement as Baptiste.
I would definitely agree with you there. Would say the rookies of this season, since this is their first season and second place, so it will be a fun one to watch their game on Thursday, not tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
I believe.
Oh, is it Thursday? I thought it was tomorrow. I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I'm
I
always
think
wrong.
Danny was saying it's Thursday.
Thursday. I'm always wrong about everything. Which then brings us to Valkyries.
A scary team as well. Who who do you want to talk about first? I need to bring up their roster to sort of
Um,
refresh.
so one of the first things I want to talk about is the unfortunateness of Pookie climbing off of DPS very early on in the season. I think Pookie's done an amazing job translating over to tank, but if they still had him on the DPS, I think he would have paired really well with the four DPSs that they have on their team currently. Although then that might mean they might not have picked up one of these other DPSs, which would have been unfortunate. Um,
Yeah.
but I think Pookie has done a really good job of showing the flexibility of taking the ability to DPS and having that game sense and taking it over to tank and still able to protect his team, but also act almost as if he's another damage dealer.
Yeah, I think I've seen him a lot on the off
Zarya?
tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, specifically, and it works really well with. I want to say Kakashi. Kakashi goes for
Yep.
these sort of weird flanks as Reinhardt, and it pays off. You definitely have to look both ways before you cross the road, especially if he's on main tank here.
Yeah. Andon definitely likes to put himself into some cheeky positionings where he goes for one of those. As Sebi likes to call it out to us. Sebi goes, guys, I'm somewhere. Guess where I am? Guess where I am? Guess where I am? And then you just look up and he's like literally to the right of the enemy spawn, waiting to charge out. That's why we don't let Sebi play Ryan. But
Let's say we play Ryan correctly.
Andon gets away with that sometimes if teams are hip to what he's doing and or are hip to paying attention to their positioning. He doesn't quite get away with it, but Pookie is able to bail him out in those situations, as are the healers on Valkyrie. But I have seen Andon get away with it a lot more times than I've seen him get caught out.
And even if he does get caught out, you do have someone like Pookie that can
Yeah.
sort of get him out of the fight almost.
And it's almost never like the same corner twice. He's always just somewhere else instead. So it's definitely really hard to kind of predict. Like basically you have to know if the Rhine is not in front of you, like, oh my god, like your head has to be on a swivel to kind of deal with him. And when that is paired with Beagle, that's even more dangerous because Beagle's Roadhog, and I know we're talking about so many people being best this, best that. For me, Beagle's Roadhog is literally one of the best in tier 2. It's very frustrating to play against.
Yeah, he's one of those flank hogs that will definitely get a pick, even though you'll have to pour a lot of resources to get to him, right? But in that time, he can still take one person out, and if you give him just enough time, the
He'll
second
take
he gets
another
his
up.
hook again, he'll take another
Yeah.
in. Exactly.
And you can tell he has proper game sense because it's almost like not a random hook of who he goes for. It's like an impactful hook. It's a healer. It's the shield tank. It's somebody that you really need on the battlefield with you in that moment. And Beagle's just like, "Yeah, no, like I decided to not let you play the game today." So,
Yeah, so you definitely gotta be very careful of where both those tanks are.
I got to keep remembering
Especially
to
playing
move my
on the
controller.
back row as well.
Yeah.
The second Beagle gets a pick, they'll just sort of go incredibly aggressive. Makes it a lot more difficult for the enemy team.
Dadbot is a newer pickup for them. I think just recently happened within this last week. So, really looking forward to kind of seeing what kind of play that they're going to get away with. I know previously last season they were on Nova, I want to say. I could be wrong about that, but I do
I
think
think
they
they
were
were
on
this
Nova.
season.
Hmm?
I want to say they was still on Nova this season.
Season 2. Okay. But they've done a really good job, I think, tanking in tier 3. So really looking forward to seeing how they're going to do in playoffs here and how it's going to move up for tier 2.
Yep, agree with you.
K2F, I think, also somebody that was previously on Nova, who's also a tank for them. I want to say I recall K2 plays a lot of Rhine, which pairs well, I think, with Pookie also.
Yep, their tank lineups are definitely flexible. K2 known for his Rhine more than
Hmm.
anything. I don't think I've seen him on anything but the Reinhardt. He does play quite an aggressive Rhine, so I think it does suit Valkyries quite well, especially for the tank pairings.
Yeah. And Always High, we've seen before, can definitely play a variety of different tanks. I think he can switch between main tank and off tank, but it is more of a main tank player, from what I recall.
I believe he was on. Joker's Wild before swapping. Correct me if I'm wrong there, guys.
Snoops is here. Snoops could correct us. But while we're waiting for that correction, we can move on to the healers for Valkyrie. I think their healers are very incredible. We see Danny a lot on the Mercy. Um, Danny obviously has an understanding of the Mercy kit, knows how to super jump, which can be for me it's like a half and half thing. It can either be super impactful in fights to escape away, especially escape away with your life, or just to kind of keep the team up and keep yourself out of a dangerous position. Or on the opposite end of that, if there's a really good hit scan or sniper on the enemy team, you sometimes might be putting yourself in a bad position. But I think Danny knows enough about other teams to kind of make proper decisions in those sort of situations.
Yeah, with the super jumps, he can definitely get himself out of really sticky situations. I know first-hand experience from being in a team fight. I see the Mercy right in front of me, and then within an instant, they're like 30 feet up in the air. It's like, what the hell's happening here?
Mm-hmm. Which can be really
And
frustrating because then it does also allow for Danny to get off a lot of really risky reses because you kind of lose track of that Mercy for a brief moment. Um, and then, Danny's able to get a really risky res off because you kind of keep pushing forward and all of a sudden there's just like a backline res or like a side res somewhere that you weren't expecting to happen.
you definitely have to take him out, otherwise, like the way he plays Mercy and the way he just flies around like so easily, he'll just be in your back lines, he'll be in your front lines, he'll be anywhere, just pulling off some crazy res and then going back to whoever needs healing. So you have to
Um,
have your eyes on.
which can be well paired with Fent, who I know we've seen on Ana a lot for Valkyries. And you know, the DPSs that they have can be well supported by both the Nano Boost and the Mercy Pocket. So it's like the two of them I feel are just really synergized and play incredibly well, especially because Fent is able to get a lot of really good healings, which is kind of crazy since both of their like the tanks can either play super flanky and an odd positioning or very up front in front of them. But the fact that they're able to get healing off of those odd positioned flanked heroes really shows the intelligence that Fent has to know where to place themselves so that they're not in too much danger, but also able to get off what they need to get off.
I think Fent just needs to be a little bit careful since, it is double shield meta and they are incredibly strong on the Ana. They're definitely going to get way more value if they play against a Rhine Zarya because I've seen their nades and those nades alone have won them so many team fights.
Mm-hmm. Which Living Truth definitely helps a lot. We've seen Living Truth on a variety of different characters. I definitely think we've seen them majority on Moira and Lucio. I remember them specifically as a very annoying Lucio and just kind of stalling out point and um, wall riding kind of around, which I literally would love to learn how to do, and I have no idea how to do it. But like I'm just so bad at it. So any Lucio that can wall ride pretty spectacularly, um, I always just think is complimentary.
I agree with you. I think they can definitely pull off some crazy boots as well. If we're going to match like Ilios or what's the other one? I can't remember. Nepal?
Nepal
Shrine?
and Lijiang. Mm-hmm. Sanctum.
That's the one. Yeah, they can definitely get some crazy boops, just because of the way that they wall ride.
I
I
know.
definitely can't wall ride like that.
Yeah, no. I know we've definitely seen Rybuds and Sakura in games. I feel like we haven't maybe seen as much of them as we have of the other three, which might be due to schedules. Um, so if anybody here from Valkyries wants to give us a little bit of help on those ones, we will gladly take it.
In the meantime, we can start talking about the DPS.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ravioli, Young Habibi, Weiss Queen, and Lil Masala.
All very solid players. I know Little Masala is a more recent pickup of theirs, but really incredible Genji, Ash, sniper sort of hit scan type of player.
Definitely good on like the Hanzo as well, as we've
Mm-hmm.
seen. Lil Masala has been able to pop off and get
I said
quite a
Genji, I
few
meant Hanzo.
finishes.
I'm a big dumb. And McCree, yes. I think
Yeah,
he
McCree
took Hydra out the other day.
quite a few times
Mm-hmm.
actually. So if you guys get a chance, just laugh at Hydra.
Sakura plays Ana. Okay, so another really good Ana player then. I also want to say I've like seen her on Moira before too, if I am correct. But really good to have a couple of different Ana players on your team because once if this meta does shift very quickly, or especially during playoffs off of double shield, it can make a huge difference. And we've kind of
Yeah.
seen small meta shift. I mean, double shield is still the viable one, but you can still get a lot done with double shield and an Ana. Um, Sometimes it's just maybe playing super aggressive and kind of pushing in that way.
And the Anas definitely pair well with the young Habibi, who is quite a good Genji, especially when he gets Blade. Like,
Yeah.
even without the Nano, he's gonna get, 2 or 3 kills. Um, so the Ana pairings with young Habibi, who not only just plays Genji, but plays, off the top of my head, McCree, Hanzo,
Hmm.
Ash,
Yes, correct.
um, definitely impacts the fight in one way or another. Is crazy accurate from what I've seen, and you can't give him any space either.
And his Ash slash Genji pair really well with Weiss Queen, who we have seen on the, especially on the Junkrat, but also the Pharah. Weiss Queen's Junkrat is just utterly annoying because it's like it reminds me of Nick Coco from last season, kind of one of those kamikaze Junkrats that doesn't send tires at you from across map. They literally are like somehow right next to you, and you have no time to prepare for that tire, which literally gets a 4 to 5 man just death or a team kill. And just stops any push, breaks shields very accurately, I would say, knows how to play Junkrat to AT.
Yeah, I feel like the second you hear that Junkrat sound cue, you have to turn around, and by the time you turn around,
You're dead.
they've already got like 4K.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you're dead. Like you can't. Weiss just doesn't even really give you an opportunity to react to them. And then also pairs really well with Ravioli, who I see most especially normally on Sim. So the double shield meta like really gets destroyed kind of by Valkyries, because they either kind of push through it or they break that shield within literally seconds. Between the Junkrat and the Sim spam on your shield, it's just you have nothing in front of you. And then that Sim is super high beam.
Yeah, I think I've also seen them on the Sombra as well.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me
Yep,
if I'm
Ravioli's
wrong
been
with
on
that,
Sombra.
but yeah, they definitely get some really big EMPs as well, and that just
So
lets either the tanks or the other DPS to pop off with
yeah.
their ult, and it's a pretty easy team like that.
I think Valkyries are an overall like really solid team, and they have a lot of good components. I think sometimes just some of their decision making and synergy is what leaves them open to mistakes. We've definitely seen them over ult a couple of times in situations. They had 6 ults and they kind of use all of them going in when they haven't needed to previously.
Yeah.
I think that they can put up a good fight against NA ult management, but I do think it's going to be like a 3-1 game.
Yeah, like you were saying, I think from how we've seen them play, it may just be miscommunication between the team, because you can see that their focus fire is sort of not there sometimes, and it's just a matter of everyone needs to call out the same target.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to talk about what else they're going to use, and if they nail that, then they're going to be a lot
Mm-hmm.
stronger fighting against NA for Thursday.
Yeah, I
Which,
think if they nail
so
that, I think it could be I think it could be a 3-2 either way, as if they have that nailed. But if they haven't, then I do think it would be like a 3-1.
I feel like if they haven't, then it may just be a 3-0 in my opinion. No offense to Valkyries, unless Valkyries really do pop with their tank lineup, which definitely is possible, but we shall see.
So that will bring us to our next batch here, which would be Rogue Knights and Eclipsed.
Okay, shall we start with the Rogue Knights?
Let's go with them.
Let me find their roster.
It's funny because they're like the last 3 rosters that are posted here. So Rogue Knights was our last game. So it's pretty easy for us to kind of talk about them because I think they also had majority of their players there to go against us.
Yeah, from what I remember, Sean the Ginger got a little too high on his DPS, right?
Yep. Yeah, so
Um,
Sean was a really incredible kind of the story of a lot of tier two right now. Um, Sean was an incredible DPS for them, and started off super strong for them, and then unfortunately climbed just a little too high, and now since has transitioned over into tanking for Rogue Knights, and I know we see him specifically on a lot of Sigma, and I think he does an incredible job of playing that character.
I think I've seen him a lot on the Roadhog as well, maybe a little bit with Zarya, but more sort of DPS kind of tanks, like the off tanks, is what you'd sort of expect from a 3700 DPS from season 22. And he definitely pulls those roles off well. He's got the mechanics and the game sense to make those tanks work for him.
Yeah, and I think it really pairs well with Eldrick, actually, who we see on a lot of like kind of main tank and on Rhine. I think Eldrick does a really good job here. As I miss Bastion, Sean. You toxic, missing Bastion. I think he pairs really well with Eldrick, who it kind of enables Eldrick to push up aggressively with him, knowing that his other tank is. I think we've also seen Sean on Zarya. Now that we talk about that, though, too, push up aggressively and know that his other tank is going to be there with him to kind of help him in these fights, and it helps them to really create a lot of space.
Yeah, really good at taking space. Really good with the focus fire as well. If he's on the Hog, he knows who to hook. If he's on the Zarya, he knows how to use his bubbles and protect his team with the projected bubble as well.
And then I think what like super kind of just backs them up in a lot of these pushes is their DPSs. Nation, one of their newer pickups, obviously known for that, Pharah and Reaper. Anytime a Pharah is in a map, can really just help take an opposing enemy's shield down, which we have seen Sean and Eldrick sort of take advantage of, because once those shields are down, Eldrick knows the timing very well of when to shatter.
Yeah, it's like they're calling for that shield to break, which Nation really does help with. And the second that shield breaks, once he hears that sound cue, you're gonna see Eldritch press the triangle. And it's almost always like a 4 to 5k shot,
Yeah.
5-man shot.
And then when you also have either, I want to say chaotic or rinse, I think it's rinse, are both in. Rinse is a really good hit scan DPS and sniper, and chaotic we've seen play a lot of Genji lately and McCree, so like the two of them really can help take advantage of a lot of that shield break and or with some off angles or backline damage there.
He's also, I've seen KO also play the Ash and Junkrat. Junkrat being one of those high sort of in your backlines, high kill, big tire kind of plays that we've seen a few times now in tier 2.
But then when Sean's not in, we do see Bees in. And I remember from playing against Bees, he was also a really incredible off tank, really supporting Eldrick. Played some Sigma, played some Zarya, I think played some Hog. Maybe there was a Diva or two in our maps against him. Unless that was Sean that was playing Diva. But
Either way, all the tanks work really well with Eldritch, and you can just see the sort of synergy between them, which is why they went almost undefeated at one point.
yeah, you can tell that this team has been kind of playing together for a really long time. We talked about it early on with Taters, that even if you have the individual sort of, talent and skill, you really have to know how to synergize and play together. And Rogue Knights had that in spades from the beginning of the season, which is why they were and still are pretty dominant.
Now, I think this is the last DPS, but the last Brown, from what I've seen, he is quite a good Ash. Does get the headshots when needed and pulls off some crazy dynamites as well. He almost has Bob every fight. And if you don't take him out or pressure him, then he's just going to do a lot of work within that team fight. Get a lot of headshots and pretty much sway the team fight in their favor and help the tanks out even more so.
I definitely agreed, and especially when Brown has that mercy pocket from Fat Cat, or I want to say, is it Lobot? No, I don't know if Lobox plays support or not. Sean, help me out on that one. But I know Cat we see a lot on the Mercy, and as we've been talking about all night, it's kind of almost like a double shield and an Ash pocket meta right now. If your Ash does not have a pocket against the other Ash or against the the Fire Mercy, they can take down a Fire Mercy, but against another Ash that has a pocket, it's kind of almost a little impossible to take those battles. So Cat definitely knows how to play Mercy. It's one of those players that, again, we've kind of been talking all night, has the good game sense of knowing when to res, when not to res. I'm pretty sure I've seen a super jump or two out of her, but I don't think she overutilizes that part of Mercy's kit, which I think is safer. And personally, for me, like I think it's the better option, but that's just my personal preference.
I agree with you. I think they're never usually out of position. Either when they're playing the Moira or the Mercy, they're either healing or damage boosting their DPS, but never really out of position. And so, because of that, they can get some really good reses off and almost start again for the team fight.
Um, I definitely agree. And I know they run, I want to say Curio runs a lot of Moira and Lucio. Unless it's Yellow, I'm thinking of, that runs the Lucio.
I think Yellow might play a lot more Lucio, but Kuroi I've seen more so on Moira than
Moira,
anything.
right.
Um, it seems like between the three of them, they always will play some sort of variant with Lucio, Moira, and Mercy.
Mercy, yep.
It seems to work for them. They can have the aggression and the AoE healing, or they can have the
Mhm.
pocket, which enables the rest of their team, and
And
their
I,
tanks can just
I know we've
up the.
seen, I know we've seen Cat on Baptiste before too. So I know there's definitely like flexibility among all of the healers to play sort of a variety of characters. Um, the only two I'm not really super aware of are Lobox and Scrungus.
I I can remember the name Sprungus, but not very well. Sorry, guys. I am only human. Sprungus. I assume they play tank, right? Correct me if I'm wrong here, guys. Yellow is Lucio, Mercy. Kuroi is Mercy and Bap and Moira. They're both tank players. Okay. So Scrungus and what did you say?
Lobox.
Lobots? Both tank players. I haven't really noticed them, so definitely do want to tune into their game against Eclipse to see how they play.
And speaking of Eclipsed, we can sort of move over to them now.
Joker's Wild, you mean?
Joker's Wild, yes.
Let me grab their roster. Who shall we start with then? What role? We can start with the tanks. So one person I really remember from Joker's is Crowder. His Hog was getting some insane hooks. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but yeah, it's like out of nowhere he'll hook you from the back of their team, pull off the hook, and just one tap you.
It's almost like a glitch through the shield kind of hook because you're like, I had shield. What's going on here right now?
It's kind of like Hook 1.0, the OG hook. That's how it feels like sometimes when we play against Crowder, and when we see the sort of hooks that he pulls off.
And paired with Kaiga, I think he does a really good job. Who is, I think, one of their main tanks right now. I know they did pick up another one. I think Mute may carry the RK versus EA game. Um, yeah, I mean, it all always depends on what players are there and what players aren't there. in order to, do well in games. But I think Kaiga on tank does a really good job. Sometimes maybe gets a little too, just like many tanks do, tunnel vision-y on pushing in. But I do think he knows how to play Reinhardt, knows how to play Orisa. Is he not playing?
Yeah,
I have no idea who is and isn't playing.
I
Oh, you're
think
talking about Kaiga.
Kaiga has the right sort of aggression for his team. If he's on the Orisa, then definitely you got to watch out for their, pulled pork that they might pull out, especially if Crowder's on as well. I don't know if that lineup would be legal for you guys. I know you both are pretty high up in SRs, but either way, you've got to worry about either their main tank or their off tank that are both pretty aggro and will get a kill if you don't, do something about it. I don't feed open with style. Is that what we're calling it nowadays?
Okay, so who would you want to talk about next? We could talk about Mute next. Oh, Mute disappeared though. So we could just touch on Mute really quickly. I think Mute has kind of been on and off all season for Joker's Wild here. Kind of in and out of the lineups, but when Mute was present, I know it was a really good Genji and DPS for them. So can make impactful difference. But I think Joker's Wild has done a really good job of kind of adjusting around not having Mute for some of the season, especially
Yeah,
with a lot of these pickups that they have been making in the meantime.
yeah, definitely will be interesting to see them without Mute. An insane Genji and Doomfist. If he has his ult, he's definitely going to take out a couple of people, and you can see just by the amount of hours that he's got on his Genji, like it pays off. And you gotta have some sort of stun for him, or crowd control. Otherwise, he's absolutely gonna pop off.
So there's been a couple of pickups that we haven't yet really seen for Jokers. I don't know if ECL Prime was in their last game. I know his play personally, so I think he can be impactful for the team, depending on which role he plays, be it tank or support.
Uh oh, did he cut out?
I hate my controller. It keeps. I need to shut the turn off thing off on it. Sorry, guys. Um,
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. But I was just saying, they have a lot of new pickups, basically, that we haven't really seen in the league, or we've seen them on different teams in different seasons. ECL Prime I've played with before, and I know that they are a really good tank and or support. So interested in seeing what they plan on playing for Jokers. Whiskey and Scotch, I know, was initially picked up as a DPS, but is not eligible to DPS, so I'm not sure if they're going to be tanking or healing for the team. Scrunchies, brand new pickup. Not entirely sure if they were picked up for support. It looks like support, so maybe some of the supports are kind of. Maybe some of the supports are going to be shifted a little bit here. Pisces Syndrome, we have seen previously in the league, and I know is in a really good tank. So, really excited to kind of see how these players are going to fold in to the rest of the team.
And Brow Daddy as well, who they picked up recently, had a really good showing in Tier 3. Definitely looked like one of the strongest main tanks in Tier 3 from what I saw. Now the question is, will that translate over to Tier 2? I don't think I've seen him play in a Tier 2 game yet.
I think he
Correct
played
me.
the last game against Taters.
Right, okay.
And I think did a really good job. I know East and West was also a recent pickup and picked up for support, but as a tank main, it looks like could maybe play DPS just based off of some placements. They're kind of hovering around that line. Snoops we know is a really solid DPS player for JA, so kind of almost like a in a way a new team that we're going to be seeing. It's a lot of familiar names, but it's just we don't know necessarily what positions they might be playing.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So that's kind
So,
of that makes this Rogue Knights Eclipse um, literally makes it feel like it can go one way or the other. Rogue Knights are an incredible team that I can see, winning 3-0, but I think Eclipsed have always been a tough team to beat and have the core there, kind of. It's just a matter of what are they going to pull together, and I don't know. I feel like this is a very unpredictable match.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think both teams have players that, given enough space, will pop off and just turn the team fight in their favor and the momentum. Um, so that's something that both teams need to watch out for going into
Mm-hmm.
this next game. Players like Crowder and Sean the Ginger um, have quite a lot of impact, among other players. So they just need to be careful about that going into this. So definitely going to be an interesting watch. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the score is going to be a tough one for this game. Um, I think Rogue Knights being like it being sort of like a David versus Goliath kind of scenario here.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like Joker's World do have the sort of tools to maybe pull it off. So I feel like it'll be a 3-2.
Okay. Which will then bring us to our last matchup of um, playoffs for the first week, which would be Beast Edition versus Papegas. Um,
Oh, there you
who?
go.
Oh, what a gross team. Who do you want to start with? Do you want to start with our team or with their team?
We can leave Papegas for last
Okay.
since it's our team. So
Um,
Beast Edition.
Beast Edition, I think, is a really solid team. I actually don't think that their placement in the standings really reflect them properly.
Yeah,
I
I agree with you.
know, I know when we've recently scrimmed them, it was extremely close. I think that they have all of the components there to make it work, and I think a lot of their new pickups are really good additions to the team and can help make an impactful difference. And if they've been sort of working on those kinds of things, then I think that they can be a really scary team.
I agree with you. I'm just having to find their playoff roster. I'm gonna have to go back and find their older roster here.
Yeah.
Um, they've definitely got the players and the individual talent to sort of mesh together and make things work between their DPS tanks and support.
So I know their one of their captains awesomely has dual tiered tank for a couple of different seasons and can play a really good main tank, especially more so on Rhine. I don't know if we've really seen him around as much recently, if he's been sort of on a bit of a hiatus, but I know they did pick up in the meantime Nerdy Buttercat, who I think has been doing a really good job filling for main tank. Nerdy was previously on Pizza Planet Deep Dish this season, earlier in the season, and I think feels. It looks like he feels a little more comfortable and aware of himself on Beast Edition than he did on Pizza Planet. It's like
Yeah, I
more
feel like
backed up. It's more suited to his playstyle, I would say.
if he can deal with someone like Gubbins, who is highly disruptive on like the ball, Sig, and Roadhog,
Hog. Yep.
um, then Nutty Buttercat can just play incredibly aggressive, and the momentum just sort of shifts into Beast Edition's favor there.
I definitely don't disagree with that. And also, they have picked up Holy Chuckster, who in tier 3, I'm not sure if he's been playing as a tank or not, but I remember in tier 3 was an incredible off tank and can kind of help, sub in for Gubbins when Gubbins isn't there. I do think still Gubbins is probably the best off tank on their team, and just kind of we talked about it with Beagle earlier. I put Gubbins up there as one of the more top tier kind of off tanks and Roadhogs too. So like seeing kind of the two of them maybe go back and forth with each other would be incredible. But I think like we said about Beagle, kind of you just get hooked from behind, and it's smart placement, smart target picking. I think we could say the same about Gubbins, be it when he's on Roadhog or on ball.
Yeah, you definitely got to invest a lot to stop Gubbins from sort of rolling your entire team there. Giving him enough space, he can just boop your entire team, get mines pretty quickly, get the Roadhog goal pretty quickly. So same thing with, like you were saying with Beagle, you have to invest a lot to take him out of the fight, and by then it may be a little bit too late with someone like Nerdy being, almost like pinching you,
Yeah.
like pinching your team.
And especially with the DPSs, they recently picked up Joker and Evocative, both players I know well. Joker previously on Duck Duck, thank you Java. Joker previously on Duck Duck Goats was a really incredible. Ash, McCree, May could play a variety of characters and can be really accurate. Again, we're just talking about more like that Ash meta, especially if they have a pocket, which Red Hood Kitty really knows what they're doing on Mercy. Can pocket and also help heal the entire team. Um, I think just a lot of Beast Edition is very complementary to each other, basically.
Yeah. You've got the supports that enable
Mm-hmm.
the DPS, and you've got the tanks that enable each other, and it just works for them. Like you were saying, Joker, an incredible hit scan. And I'm also for the Ash nowadays, but I did know that he played a lot of Pharah back in the days, along with May. So who knows? We might see that in the quarterfinals here.
Yeah, and Evocative can play a really good sort of like dive kind of tracer, or can also play Widow. So really able to do a lot of pestering to the backlines there. And I'm not sure if they play Genji or not, but Anime Weeb AJ is quite well known for also playing Ana, so that really can help keep the tanks up. And if there is a Genji on the team, which it might be Kill Switch that is their Genji, if I'm recalling correctly, really duos well together.
Yeah, I believe Kill Switch is the more flexible DPS. But if you got Anime Weeb AJ, and especially with Nerdy and his playstyle, Anime will get like nanos crazy quick. So he can go for a nano on the Reinhardt, even the Hog, or potentially a Genji if Kill Switch plays
Mm-hmm.
the Genji.
Definitely agree. And Griffin, from what I remember of Griffin, I want to say was a really good Farah and Reaper, unless I'm misrecalling. Griffin, are you here?
Okay,
Are you
so
able to help us?
Kill Switch plays a Junk and Reaper.
Okay.
And Gubbins, what does Griffin play? From what we can recall, help us out here. I think it may have been Griffin that was the more flexible one, from
Maybe
what I
it
remember.
is.
I know one of their DPS definitely is more flexible for DPS since we've seen him play just like almost like the entire roster.
But also, speaking on Villy, who we haven't really talked about yet, I do want to say that I think Villy and Red Hood um, both duo well together. I want to say one of them is always usually on a Baptiste and the other one on a Mercy or a Baptiste Moira sort of situation. He's more of the flex. Okay, Griffin's more of the flex. Thank you, Gubbins. Um, but just I think that they're overall a really solid, incredible team. And like I said, it I don't think the score necessarily really reflects where their standing is. I feel that way for a lot of the teams this season. I think any game could have kind of gone one way or the other.
Yeah, I agree with you. I definitely don't think that they should be that low down. They've got the potential and the players and the synergy to sort of take it
Mm-hmm.
all the way to the finals.
They have a lot of talent. I think the at the end of the season lineup for Beast Edition was one of the tougher lineups for the teams. Basically, is what I would say. They had to, at the end, they had to go through Rogue Knights, Pizza Planet, Papega's, NA Alt Management. So kind of when teams were really finding, then they had Eclipse. Like teams that were starting to really find their strides.
Yeah.
It's when unfortunately they kind of ran into them.
But again, just we've definitely seen Beast Edition make some incredible plays this season as
Mm-hmm.
well. So that's something that I'm going to be particularly watching out for since I'm going to be in the game against them.
Unless I bench you.
I don't know about that. Come on, you guys want to see my Ryan, don't you? So I think that's pretty much everyone on Beast Edition there.
Yeah, that looks like that's everybody.
Okay, so the final team, and the worst of all.
Pretty much. Would bring us to Papegas, which I'm gonna crap top everybody. Papegas obviously this week have undergone quite a few differences here, losing two of their stronger players in Wolf and Ket. So gonna be doing their best to kind of make up for that because Wolf's tanking and shot calling was, in my opinion, pretty unmatched. I think he is an incredible player. I think he really knows how to lead a team. And it's, Papegas did fine without him tanking early on in the season, but he would have been a massive asset to have for playoffs. Same for Ket there. But I think we're
Yeah,
gonna.
go ahead.
I was gonna say I think we're gonna do our best here, either way, because there's been some new pickups for Papegas. So
I think Wolf's tanking and Ket's healing were almost second to none for tier 2. So it definitely was a big hit for Papegas. With the tank lineups that we have now, we have made a new pickup along with yours truly being on tank with Mori here. I would say that Mori definitely is one of the stronger Orissas of the league. Has picked up MVP a few times, and I can see why, just by like his game sense and the way he plays Orisa, his positioning
yeah,
and sort of target focus, it works really well and helps the team out.
Papegas are a bunch of undisciplined blood. I think Maury's definitely underrated in regards to his tanking, just because of his quietness in the league. He's definitely a solid player that you kind of want in almost every map. Has a really good knowledge of majority of the characters. We played a fun goats game the other day, and Maury did incredible on the diva that he played in that. So, just really has good knowledge of a lot of the different tanks and of his positioning and of all of the maps. So I think paired with Sebi or with Entails or with Twinkie can do a lot of damage in making space, especially in regards to two of them being new pickups and the synergy that's built in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, I think Mori does a really good job in controlling the momentum for the team, and with his flexibility on the tanks, he definitely is an asset to Papegas, and synergizes really well with anyone he plays with.
He knows how to push up and continue to make space when his DPS have made some space for him. He knows how to take that space and then make more space for his DPS. So we talked about how tanks like to kind of ping pong a little bit earlier in the season. I think Papega's just tank line and DPS line in general sort of ping pong with each other. I think they kind of work very well as a unit, because we've seen Hydra is an incredible player. He has a very large player pool that you might not see very often, or you might not understand, but he could take almost any kind of player on that DPS line and play it to, if he's on, an exceptional level. If he's off, to his gold level, as we like to joke about.
Yeah, he's definitely got the game sense and the mechanics to sort of match his diversity or flexibility within his DPS roster. Any sort of role you'll put him on, he is going to perform incredibly well because of his mechanics alone.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen him a lot on the Ash, just thinking a lot of heads, getting bobs really quickly, and tires from Junkrats,
Yeah.
Pharaohs, you name it.
Especially if he's getting that pocket from Blood or Eye. It's just it's kind of, you know, he he just makes incredible shots, basically.
I agree with you. Entel's again a new pickup. We've only just started warming up to him, but quite a decent player, similar to Mori, I would say. Got good flexibility, and can control the momentum. And since those two will work together, they should work also in their favor. as long as they're being careful, especially of flanking roadhogs of cough gubbins.
Which will then, allow us to put Sebi back on DPS every once in a while, and if we decide we like him for the week, if we decide he's actually hitting his shots or anything like that. But Sebi's DPS can be just on par with Hydra's, which makes the two a dangerous duo. Because it's kind of a situation where if you see one but you don't see the other, you might get dinked from the side, sort of situation. Also has a fairly decent player pool. Sometimes we like him, sometimes we don't. You know, pretty much that's all we can say
Agreed.
about Sebi. His tanking's okay. Just don't let him play Rhine. All of Papegas would agree with that one. As we talked about, Sebi likes to sit near spawns and say, "Guys, look at where I am. Look at where I am." Thinks he can get away with some sneaky things and never does.
I mean, that's what brings the love back into Overwatch.
But for DPS, we do also have Mastman, who is an incredible Reaper. Really, knows how to use that kit, can properly kind of fade around and not get caught in bad situations. Knows how to sort of read the situation on when to use ults, especially if there's been two stuns picked to counter him. So I think, and we've seen Mast also on a couple of different other characters, so he's definitely showing his flexibility too in regards to what he can do.
Yeah, I think the second you see that Reaper in your backlines or just fighting against your tanks, you have to take him out because he doesn't seem to miss a shot with his Reaper shotguns, and he'll build up ult pretty quickly. He also is smart enough to use his cooldowns to get out of the fight. So definitely scary if you see him in your team right now, in that team fight.
Which is also the same for Gunner, who is fairly quiet. And again, we talked earlier about some underrated kind of shenanigans that happen. Gunner is a really good player that I think just gets a little overshadowed by Hydra sometimes. Gunner's accuracy on Widow is incredible. I actually think he's a bit better on Widow than Hydra can be sometimes. I think Hydra's a really good Ashe, but I think when it comes to the Widows on the team, I would put Gunner there first. Gunner also a great Torb player. Can play some Junkrat. Can play a variety of different characters. So um, you just never. It's hard to tell with the DPS line on Papegas of what you're going to get, basically. Sebi? Left? Okay. Um, let's invite Sebi back. Kicked due to
I'm back.
inactivity. That's why I keep pushing buttons on my controller. Um, I don't know if you were listening on stream or not, but I was talking about Gunner and just saying he just sometimes is a bit overshadowed by Hydra, but is an incredible pickup. Really good Widow, really good Torb, variety of characters, and basically with the DPS lineup on Papegas, you never really know what you're going to get or what you're going to be against.
Yeah, given enough space, Gunner is definitely going to pop off as well. He's got the aim, as we've seen time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he does have a little bit of flexibility onto the Torb and the Pharah, Ashe and Hanzo, so you've got to be careful with your positioning because he will single you out and think you from across the map.
I do want to just give a small highlight to who I felt was our best Widow player, Dre, who unfortunately is now tier 2 ineligible for DPS. He climbed on Sunday morning, so he became ineligible due to that reason. But
Sorry,
yeah, I do think Dre was really impactful for our team. Could play Widow, could play I think McCree for us, played some Ashe for us, played a lot of those different hit scan characters, and was always very accurate. So sad to see him. Sad to see him gone for playoffs on DPS, but really happy to welcome in Zero onto the team for playoffs.
Yeah, it's out with one really good DPS, in with another. Zero coming from Tater Bots, who still is on Tater Bots, I believe. From what I remember, plays an incredible Genji, Hanzo McCree. So hopefully, where we lose out on Dre, Zero will sort of pick up.
Yeah. So I think definitely will be a dangerous component to our team, especially paired with crits on our team who can play a variety of healers. Crits is an incredible Ana, kind of up there with Weeb, AJ, and with Fent, probably, some of the better Anas in tier 2. But I think the two of them are going to pair really well together, especially if Zero is able to get a little bit of pocketing from either Blood or I if one of us is in the game. But Crits has shown a lot of capability all season in regards to healing. Has played Lucio, has gotten some really big boops, and I remember one specifically on Lijiang Night Market to end a game, got a 3k boop. Can play Brig, can play Ana, can play Mercy, Moira, Bap, can basically play a majority of those characters, but we will never let him play Zen.
Yeah, definitely. Probably our most flexible support really shines on the Ana and Lucio. If you see that Lucio wall riding, you definitely know that he's going to look for a boop, maybe get a 2 or 3k if you're careful. So definitely teams, watch out if we play Ilios, because he is going to go for some crazy boops.
Gonna go for you. And then just want to round out with talking about Blood, who has been a really solid member of our team from the beginning. A lot of people would say she's kind of like a Mercy one trick, but that's because she loves Mercy. But she's really more than that. She can play a great Baptiste, and her Moira is on point also. Knows how to use the Mercy kit properly with the super jump. Never really out of position, knows when to use those Valks, knows when to go for reses and when not to go for reses. So give Zen players love. There's not many Zen players in tier 2, Thou. But overall, I think Papegas are just as solid of a team. They stumbled a little bit here in the beginning. They're having a little bit of a stumble again at the end, but I don't really think it's, hopefully going to affect them too poorly. I think they'll be able to pull it together. And for the Beast Edition game, what Sebi was saying earlier, I think whoever comes out with the stronger momentum in the beginning is going to be who takes the game.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And just going back to the healers, Blood, again, with her sort of knowledge with the Mercy kit, really will shine. You got to be careful with how she's healing or pocketing, because like the DPS will pop off given the chance. And both Blood and Crits work really well with Jibba, who has been flexing a little more than what we've known her to do. She plays a lot more of Baptiste now, so finally learning that to sort of bring into the games, along with sort of crutches, Moira and Mercy. Definitely knows how to use their kits along with enabling the team, as do the rest of our healers. So healers are sort of really well rounded out and work really well with each other, I would say.
Mm-hmm. But so that's it. This has been quite the long talk here. Before the tier 1 game is scheduled, this is almost 2 hours now. Before the tier 1 game is scheduled, we will do this for tier 1, and we'll kind of try and sum up all of the teams that were in there. Hopefully we can do this for tier 3, and if we can, we'll probably try to pull Kirby into this since he's more knowledgeable about tier 3. And then going forward, if you guys want an Overwatch talk, you can always tag us and ask us about some quick predictions on the next round and those kinds of things, especially when those matchups get announced. But really just wanted to try and highlight all. I'm sorry, Adam. We're going to do tier 1 separately, just so that way it's easier for tier 1 to find in case people want to watch it back. But ideally what we were trying to do is highlight all of the players and all of the tiers as much as we can, because we know everybody has done incredible jobs all season long. I'll let you guys know when we do it, so then you can watch the tier 1. But you guys got to watch this. You got to learn about all the incredible tier 2 players. So thanks for coming. F in chat for nothing for tier 1. So I promise we will get one up for you guys soon. But thanks for coming, everybody.
Yeah, definitely going to be exciting. Hopefully we see you guys all there in chat.
Yeah.
These quarterfinals.
All right. Good night, everybody. And don't forget to tune in tonight to Pizza Planet versus Duck Duck Dive at 7:30 p.m. CST.
We'll see you there. Good night, guys.